Oh, welcome everyone to episodes 4 and 5 of the Magia Record Podcast. We'll probably be splitting this up into two different podcasts in the post. So go watch the episode 5 when you're done with this one. As always, I'm joined by JordanTheCow, who is the great hero known for becoming the greatest person of all time.
I try. I am known for this. I'm known for being a pretty cool guy. I run Smash tournaments, I play Smash Brothers, and I talk about anime. If you like that, follow me on Twitter.
Yes, and I'm also joined by JasonTheTrvth, who is known as the world's best drummer of all of power metal. How are you doing tonight, Jason?
That's a pretty strong statement.
Yeah, I like coming up with weird ways to introduce people, but I had no time to think of them today, so you get what you get.
All right.
And I'm joined by Greg, who is 7'8" and can dunk while standing on the floor. Grego, how are you doing tonight?
You know, you're closer to true with a couple of those things than people might think.
Alright, well, with that, now that the silly introductions are done with, let's go and hop right into a not-so-silly introduction of episode 4. So, like we mentioned, it's been a couple weeks since we made a video.
Yeah, we always have technical difficulties with podcasts. As you might notice, if the audio is not good, we'll try to fix that for next time. So, starting off episode 4, we have an opening scene at a restaurant where a new character, is punching a thing of meat, and she's very energetic and fun and lots of fire and best girl.
Yeah, no, I really like her as a character. I think she's a really, really well done character. Pretty strong overall, I'd say.
Yeah, she's just she's one of the characters who I like just seeing her opening scene and like how energetic and everything she is. So she's great.
They did a really good job of very quickly making you want to root for her, and I think that's really important in a show like this to have, characters you want to root for, because there's obviously those, more solemn, darker characters where you're not sure how good they are or where their kind of stance is, so you're not sure if you can root for them or not. But I think having a character like Yui come in is really nice.
Was that her name?
Yeah, that was her last name. Her first name, or the name that she ended up going by, was like Sue something. But
yeah, Suruno is what I have.
Yeah, Suruno. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, what do you think about the new character? You a fan? Or are you wrong?
Yeah, I think she's alright.
You know what? I'll take it.
Okay, so Jason's wrong.
Yeah. You know what?
Jason,
I'll take it.
Jason would give her a 50%.
It's just like... So it's my first time since the first episode. And just up until watching the 4th episode, I've kind of found the show to be really boring.
Ooh.
In my opinion.
Okay.
And not much going on. So Yui showing up was kind of a nice change of pace. She's a lot more energetic and upgoing. That made the show kind of go a bit, I guess, more lighthearted.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because you found the first 3 episodes kind of boring. I actually kind of felt that with this episode because of I did not see where the story was going, and it felt like it was kind of dragging a bit.
This episode definitely made me realize that the show was I was checking out pretty early on in the episode, honestly.
I feel like with this episode, episode 5 is getting more back on track, but this show is definitely a lot less tightly written than Madoka.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think so far I'm really liking the show. I think episode 4, we said the same thing last episode. Greg, you and I did. I think where we said it started out pretty good episode. It started out good with a lot of high hopes episode 1, and then since kind of started to slope downhill.
Yeah,
I think that's what we were saying last episode. And I think this episode 4, kind of continued that, at least for the most part.
Yeah, in a way, I kind of feel like episode 4 was the worst one because we had the first intro arc, figuring out who Tamaki is, what she's after, and then we have the stair witch, whatever that was, which is kind of interesting to get at the new characters. But then it's that was just set aside. That means nothing now, and now we have another new characters, new witch that we don't see what the point of it is.
I felt like in this episode in particular, the witch fight in the grocery store was super just shoehorned in just so the episode could have a witch fight.
Yeah, for sure.
They kind of went there, fought it, then left.
And I wonder if that's like reminiscent of the mobile game where they have a lot of like less significant events happen. And there's someone who commented saying like there are going to be a ton of characters, so it feels like now they're just trying to like introduce them all and make it interesting enough. But because this isn't a mobile game, we want like a tighter story, and that's not what we're getting.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think this is a really ambitious show. I think, first of all, just making a game based in the Madoka universe, not that it's super, super hard, but I think it is one of the more challenging universes to hop right into. I also think that making a show about the mobile game that's a spin-off of the original Madoka Magica is really hard because the first one was such a success. And that really played because of the fact that there were, I think, over the episodes you get introduced to, Madoka, Sayaka, Kyoko, Homura, Mami, and Kyubei. There's like 6, quote, main characters throughout all of them. And spoiler alert, one of them dies at episode 3. So at any given point you have 5. So I feel like going from a show that was so tightly character driven with like 5 or 6 characters total to a show that's like, here's 30 characters because that's how they make the money in the mobile game, is making new characters, making new costumes or whatever for them, right? Gotcha games. And then trying to introduce you to all those and make them all important in the show is really, really hard to transfer in a good way, especially if you're like me and haven't spent much time, if any, in the mobile game.
Yeah, it'd be like if they try to make a bang dream, but make all the characters important without like prior knowledge. Yeah, I don't think it would work or be interesting.
I think right now I think at least throughout the middle of episode 4, it's getting kind of murky with what characters really matter, which ones are kind of side characters. Because the very first episode introduced us to like one of her friends that she knew in her school, and we're led to believe that she's gonna be like a main character. And then turns out I don't think I've seen her since episode 1 or 2. So
yeah,
maybe
we felt like she'd be the sidekick of the show, but we haven't seen her since.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of characters. So right now it just feels like it's kind of too much going on. I hate to say I hope they slim down the cast, because that either means they die off or they're just like kicked away from the show. But I feel like if we had if we had a more clear, concise group of 5 or 6 characters, it'd be better off.
Yeah, I think we might get that because like they brought Yachiro back from like the first episode, so she's now more involved, and so I think they can like develop that relationship more. So I feel like it could definitely be going in a good direction soon, especially like we got a lot in episode 5 that I think is important.
Yeah,
but it still feels like we're in episode 5 and 3 of the episodes not much important happened. Also, we have a comment from C Tactics who says Saber-san is my favorite Madoka Magica, who he is obviously right. If you don't know, C is one of my friends, and he says dumb things. And by that I mean all the time. Yeah. Love you, C.
Big fan, C. Big fan.
Yes,
he's a great person. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyways.
I think overall, episode 4 was fairly weak. I think I agree with Jason how the one witch fight we got in the store was thrown in either to be a time fill or because they felt like they needed a witch fight. And I think that's mostly true. I think I just went back and rewatched the episodes 4 and 5. And I actually skipped through the witch fight of episode 4 because I was like, after watching it the first time, you're like, oh, this fight is just basically irrelevant. Like the whole grocery store scene, right? You don't really gain anything much from it, I don't think.
Yeah, that Yachiro like really cares about getting good deals and stuff, but that still doesn't seem that important. Unless in the mobile game, my guess is maybe that was like a bigger character defining moment. You learned a lot more about her, and it tied into why the witch appeared. But sorry, distracted by C saying dumb things again. Now I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, maybe there was more to it in there, but they like cut most of that and have the fight.
Yeah, and I think the whole trying to develop, like they're obviously trying to develop Yachiro. That's super obvious because if you watch the intro and the outro, instead of it being focused around pink hair Madoka number 2, it's focused on her. So it's very clear that she is going to be Homura of this show. She's going to actually, episode 8 or 9 comes out, she's all of a sudden the main character, and she's the one that matters the most. Duh.
I could definitely see that.
I see that coming from a billion miles away. 100% that's what's going to happen. I'd put money on it if I wasn't broke. 100%, like, in my mind, my mind's already made up. If it doesn't do that, I'll be entirely shocked. But I think they're trying to, like, slowly build it up like she's supposed to be, like, a home... I say Homura because, like, obviously in comparison, she's kind of like that. She's the mysterious. Don't really know if you can trust her, all that kind of stuff. She's kind of like a bitch, but she's kind of, like, really right and really smart.
Right.
So you gotta think about it. And she's always trying to protect pink hair, right? Just like Homura was. She keeps saying like, "Hey, you don't need to fight." And she's like, "I'm a magical girl too." And Homura's like, "Hey, you don't need to fight." She's like, "But I like you, Bay too." So I mean, the parallels between the two worlds and the two characters are so clear that if they don't turn her into like a Homura type of clone, it's gonna be really weird. I think they're trying to build her up that way, but it's. For those who haven't seen Magica, I don't think it's working well enough. And for those who have, they now know that she's going to be Homura.
Yeah, and I still like the bigger point, but it definitely feels like they could compress it a lot more and it would work better. Because, like, I think you're right. We'll definitely get a lot with Yachiro over a couple episodes, like, really exploring her character. We got some of that in episode 5, though we're still kind of talking about episode 4.
Yep. Yeah, I mean... Yeah. Yachiyo's interesting. Tamaki is an interesting character. But, like, some of the stuff I feel like is,
more
like...
interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think it's going to be a little... I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how to word it. I think those are obviously going to be the two most important characters. I think it's clear. I think it's, like, Madoka 2.0. I think Tomoko's going to become irrelevant, especially after seeing what happens in episode 5 towards the end. That was kind of weird. Don't want to spoil too much of that quite yet because we're not to episode 5. But I feel like I think you can draw pretty close parallels between this cast and the cast of Madoka Magica original, and you can see which of these characters are actually going to be meaningful and which one of these are going to be in 1 or 2 episodes max. Like Yui, I really like her. I think she brings a breath of fresh air, and I hope they keep her, but I also don't see it happening.
She's fun, but she's also rather one note.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you saying something, Jason?
It's like, I don't know, I just think so far, like, just the art and direction and animation all are there, but just the show itself isn't there quite.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I don't think anyone's gonna say the art or like the music or the animation or anything's bad, because the thing is they're not trying to copy it. They're doing a Madoka Magica spin-off, so obviously they want it to look like it's the same world, same kind of art style, all that stuff. They've upgraded the graphics since then, but you can tell the style and the main points are still there, and I think that's really, really important. I think they did a really good job of mimicking that.
Yeah, and there's definitely always these like cool shots, and I think that might be why it's more interesting than it would be otherwise. Because like Jason, I might just be bored, but there's always something like cool to look at, or some sort of like neat way they're doing the shot to portray something.
Yep. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to say the least to see how this all turns out.
Yeah. So for the actual plot of this episode, they were basically trying to find a shrine where they could like retrieve lost memories or meet lost people. And overall, the search for it, there wasn't really much that stood out, except for the rumor about like the princess who met her dead lover. And the theme there is that bless you. There's the rumor like at the story behind it, the core message is there's always a price to pay for a miracle, which definitely feels like a Madoka type of theme.
Yeah, I think they try to mention like the miracle, and then there's like a couple other like small like things they say in Madoka that they bring over here. I thought it was kind of interesting, but that was the one that really stood out the most. I think the plot overall, it was just like a good way to introduce Yui, which is all they were trying to do, is introduce Yui That way she could be useful for episode 5 and maybe 6. They just wanted to introduce her. They wanted to show her in actions. They threw in a little witches fight in the grocery store. But yeah. What were you saying, Jason?
I'm just saying it's also just not as like dark or like disturbing as the original Madoka was.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to top.
Another...
It's hard to top someone being beheaded in episode 3.
Yeah.
Without just doing the same thing, but earlier on in the show. The only way to beat a good beheading in episode 3 is either 2 of them in episode 3 or 1 in episodes 1 or 2.
Or you have the main character killed in episode 3. That would top it. Because like Mommy was important, but a side character.
That's true too.
It just seems more safer, I guess.
Yeah.
I
wonder if that's just because this show is slower paced, so we haven't got the dark twists yet, but they'll be coming.
Maybe how many episodes is it supposed to be?
It's 13.
Is it 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I also wonder if it's like season 1 will be 13, but then they'll do more later on.
They could do that, especially because it's like a mobile game, and if the mobile game keeps going, then I could see them adding on more over time, but I don't know if that'd be the smartest idea.
It's also weird because like most mobile games, there's not like a core story that they have to adapt, but for this one, it seems like that's very important to it.
Yeah.
I
think, yeah, I think I'm good on talking about episode 4. I've kind of said my piece about it.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
What was the ending of episode 4? Episode 4 ended.
They reached the weird shrine world or whatever.
Yeah, they reached the shrine, and that was where Yachiro saw something that she knew in the past, which we learned about that more in episode 5.
Yep.
Something else I
couldn't remember where they picked up in the shrine world, if that was the start of episode 5 or if it was like they got to the shrine world during episode 5 or what. So I guess we can talk about that little journey then. About them finding the shrine world. I think that was well done.
There's something else I noticed in episode 4 that I only saw in the rewatch, and that was during the battle, Tamaki had launched Yui like into the sky by touching her, and then you can see some witch symbols around Tamaki's hand as she did so, which that plays into episode 5 a lot more.
I didn't even notice that, but I did notice on Tamaki's face, when I think it was whenever they were first walking around the shrine, all of a sudden Tamaki's face had like a little stamp on there, like it's been showing for every other time they've gone into a witch's den. Like the people surrounding them have all of a sudden had these little like symbols engraved on like their cheeks or their necks, whatever. And randomly, she was just talking to Yoshiro or whatever, and then she kind of turns her face away from the camera, and then she looks either towards it or like past it or whatever, and there's like a stamp on her cheek, and you're like, huh, that's weird. That hasn't happened yet.
Have we seen that on any of the other magical girls when they're pulled into one of these?
I have not. I haven't noticed it. It may have happened, but I haven't noticed it's where... I've always seen it on, like, background people that end up being part of the Witch's Labyrinth or whatever, but I've never seen it on one of the magical girls that are inside the labyrinth.
Yeah, there could be something there. So yeah, any other thoughts on episode 4, Jordan or Jason?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think them finding the shrine was pretty well done. I think the ending of it almost saved the episode, but it's still not a great episode.
Yeah,
I think episode 5 was pretty good.
Yeah, episode 5 had a lot more. So, for those who are watching afterwards, we're going to split the video here. So, thanks for watching our episode 4 podcast, and give us like 5 seconds, and then we'll be on episode 5. And let me switch the picture so they're fitting.